Thank you, Dr. Amit, for broadening our understanding about the refugee Muslims as majority of refugees, the phenomena behind it. And now this house is open for discussion. I have received more than 42 questions in my inbox, but I will just put the questions which are relevant for our discussion. And may I now start with Sushree Mishra. First question I'll take from this chat box. Mr. Santosh wants to know how belief has a bearing on the psychological makeup of refugees.
As we all know that when an individual is a refugee or a citizen, there is a complex psychological process that goes into making the identity of the person. That's what the person identifies with. That becomes his or her religion, what the child is told initially. So the belief system is a very strong way which includes their values, which includes the social learnings, the role modelings that they see around, and what they share as a collective mass. That is becomes their part of their belief system. As they become refugees, they would like to hold on to their beliefs and try to function as they were before, because it's an inseparable process end of the day. So what would be helpful right now, knowing that belief plays a very strong role in making a person his or her identity, his or her purpose in life, what the person is going to do and behave in the later stage. It is important to intervene and educate them about what are the beliefs that are no longer helpful in today's world. They need to develop, re-edit, and create new belief systems that is going to be progressive for them, and it works for their well-being. Many times we also have very unhealthy and futile beliefs that regresses us as a person and as a community. So we need to understand this dynamic, how the belief plays in shaping a refugee's life, and being mindful of this would only help both the host nation and the refugees to survive. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sushree. This next question is for Dr. Amit Singh. The question is, actually this question has been asked by more than 10 people, Gyanindra, Harsha, Mahendra, Ramesh and others. So this question is, why don't Muslim refugees seek refuge in Muslim majority or rich Islamic countries instead of Europe? Would not they be happier and fit in better there? Amitji, please unmute. Please unmute.
Thank you, Sakti ji, for this particular question. And I have highlighted some minor points in my presentation. Yes, they are deliberately not taking shelter or refuge in the Muslim nation because they have their political agenda behind it. That is why, because they have to change the demography of the other countries. They have to establish the supremacy of Islam in every nook and corner of this particular globe. That is why. On the other hand, yes, fact of the matter is that in most of the Islamic world, or where Islamic countries, there is no space for democracy. There is no space for progressive culture. There is no space for education, on the other hand, because there is no space for respectable livelihood. So these people are struggling in their own country. They just need some bahana to cross borders because they are waiting for some sort of a war. And because of the civil war, interstate conflict or the other thing, they deliberately try to take shelter in some of the developed country, because if we are going to migrate in some of the developed, because I have mentioned why these people are not going to Turkey. Because Turkey also, because in the Islamic world is also divided on the various issues, Shia, Sunni, And yes, Asia ka Islam is something else, and the West Asian Islam is something else. So due to this particular divide, and yes, they have some agenda behind it. That is why they are not going to the Muslim country. They are going to the European countries for better livelihood. And once they get the better livelihood, then they ask for their political rights. In some of the European countries, they have created their own political parties. And now they are acting as a pressure group, and they are demanding for Sharia rule in that particular host nation, specifically in some of the European countries. On the other, there is a person called Badruddin Ahmad. He is a politician of Assam. And most of the ethnic Assamese, they know he is from Bangladesh. And now he has formed his own party, and every election he is easily winning 20 to 25 seats in Assam Ka Assembly election. So some of these trends are common not only in Assam, but in most of the European countries. They try to replace the original institution or the government from the European country to establish a supremacy of their own religion. So this is my submission, because in their own country, they cannot sustain. And for example, Bangladesh is very tiny nation, but their population density is huge. But they do not want, they unable to sustain their population. And that is why more than 5 crores illegal Bangladeshis are living here in India. And it is the mistake of our own politician, because for the vote bank politics and various other issues, we are giving them illegal shelter. So they have their agenda. First livelihood, then political rights. And after that, establish the supremacy of their own religion. Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Amit. Next question is for Sushree. The question is from Prabhakar Tijareji. The question is how psychological therapy can modify refugees' post-migration behavior, such as assimilation with host society. What is your study revealed so far?
Yeah. So as we provide psychological and counseling support to the people, we try to assess, at what stage they are in their life. Like, we conduct different types of assessments on the basis of their psychological, situation, like whether the person, there is an IQ issue, there are other dysfunctionality or mental health issues. First of all, those things are taken care through medication, has to be taken care through medication and continuous therapy. How it is going to be helpful? One, they would be much better prepared to know what are the challenges ahead, because we know that we cannot take away the challenges or reduce their challenges. They have to go through the struggle. They have to wait for, years together to get citizenship. So knowing that there is a long way to go, we would provide that support that they are prepared to take the struggle in a healthier way. Second, there is a lot of grief and loss that they experience when they leave their country. It is not only about the Islamic refugees. It is about any other refugee who has left their country. So for them, grief and loss is such a heavy burden on them that sometimes they cannot have the courage to move on and face something new. So as we work with them, as we work with their trauma, as we work with their abuse, they try to come out of it. They try to accept it. It has happened. It is not a burden anymore. It is a life experience. It is no longer helpful, and I am no longer there. A therapist has to take them to and bring them to here and now. And with humanitarian approach, with latest modules in psychotherapy, like working with their, with their physiology, working with the chakras, working by using the different elements where language is, lesser utilized. Utilizing different modems like, creative and, art therapies, expressive art therapies, so that they express themselves and we also understand what happens to them, so that they become more functional and more relevant in this society. And as a host nation, we also need to train them. We also need to try to educate them in a way that what we need from these people. What is it that we are expecting? Nowhere that is talked about. It is talked about what is their need. So it is important that we also bridge the gap and tell that, hey, we also need you to be skilled enough. We also need you to be productive. We also need you to be accommodative of these local people, because we cannot throw away local people. We cannot shut up local people because they practice and follow something else. So this minds at the mindset level, they need to be educated, trained, taught, and prepared that this is a new land, this has these offerings, and how are you prepared to be here? So once that thing is taken care, also, there are real challenges like language. For example, one of the student who is going to write the 10th board, he was telling, I'm a Sindhi and I don't understand even one word that was taught, right? And I have to sell these, mobile cases and that sticker screen, this thing on the Delhi markets. So I have very little time and I don't understand. I wish somebody could translate that and help me study. I'm very hopeful that in a few years, we will be like here as productive and as meaningful as individuals. So are we there to help out this kind of needs? Then only we can create healthy individuals. And even if they are refugees also, they need to be okay, be accepting of the status for the time being. So that work has to go hand in hand along with other work. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sushree. This next question is for Dr. Amit Singh. This question is from Shweta Yadav. She wants to know how the Organization of Islamic Countries are responding to this migration phenomena, this refugee phenomena from Islamic countries, Muslim majority countries.
Okay, officially they issue, officially just they issue simple statement or some political statement while showing their sympathy with some of these refugees. Sometimes they try to provide some help to these refugees too, but they do not act it, okay, we are going to restore normalcy in your own nation and we are trying to get back to your own original nation. They just provide some logistical help ki wherever you are, just stay there and channelize your agenda. This is my understanding. So they are also acting politically, because till date I have not noticed any way back policy of the Organization of Islamic Countries. Okay, that's it, my view on this.
Okay, one related question put by Rahul. The question is how the voice is responding to Rohingya immigrants, Rohingya refugees settled in Jammu.
Shakti ji, can you repeat?
The question is from Rahul. He wants to know how the Organization of Islamic Country is responding to Rohingya refugees settled in Jammu.
Okay, how these people has been settled in Jammu.
No, how OIC is responding to their settlement in Jammu. How OIC is responding to Rohingya settlement in Jammu. Have they? I think he wants to know whether they have some kind of they must have made some request to Indian government to accommodate those Rohingyas or something like that. He wants to know.
Okay. Because there are various politics behind this particular issue, and yes, because India, we have a multi-party democracy, and there are enough activists exist, including left liberals and Muslim. They have very coherent group with regard to settling them deliberately or politically at the various areas. And yes, some people have filed PIL in front of the Supreme Court related to the plight of the Rohingya Muslim, ki these people are not getting enough materials, shelter, or various other materials for the livelihoods. So due to the various reasons, I don't know why and how these people have crossed the entire Bangladesh and traveled till the Jammu and Kashmir. And now these people are very quietly settled in Jammu, not in Kashmir, because Kashmir is again a Muslim dominated area. So, but they have been deliberately settled by these politicians or the opposition people in the Jammu area, because they have their political agenda to change the demography of Jammu region. This is my submission on this particular issue. Due to the politicking, they are there.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Amit. Next question is for Sushree. The question is from Rajesh. The question is, what is the relationship between pre-migration trauma and post-migration adjustment?
Yeah. As we talk about pre-migration trauma and post-migration adjustment, when the moment we talk about trauma, we know that it's a very painful experience of emotion. Somebody is traumatized means it was unprecedented, it was unanticipated, and it was not known. Something just come as an experience, and the person is in shock for some time. So pre-migration trauma, it means when they want to travel, they're already traumatized that they have to leave so much, or what they are heading towards. So that's a big trauma. And so pre-migration trauma may include their sense of being shocked, being frozen, getting highly anxious. They're in a fight-flight mode that I have to rush and quickly settle down and start my life. Or it's like, completely, no, I don't want anything. Or it also could be like that, okay, let me see it as it comes. The thing is that this happened, that happened. They become defensive due to pre-migration trauma. And once they're defensive, they are not open enough to adjust to the new environment psychologically. Because the person, the more they're defensive, the chances of receiving new things are very less. The chances to take stress, like regular stress, to lead a normal life becomes difficult for them. Psychologically, they don't show that readiness that, okay, we'll do the hard work, we will do this, we'll listen to these people, we'll follow their instructions. It also becomes hard at an individual level. So they are not in a position to adjust. And when we talk about adjust, is it about food? Is it about adjusting to the unhygienic living condition that mostly they are put into? Is it adjustment with the language barrier, or is it with the coordinators? So there is a higher order of resistance as they land. If they are lesser traumatized as they start their journey, their readiness is higher, their functionality is higher, and to move on to the next stage, to take on stress and to get into a regular life, quote unquote, what they're aspiring, it becomes easier for them. That is the relationship. So hence the people are less traumatized. They are ready to be more receiving. They are ready to be more giving and more doing and quote unquote more functional. And the adjustment becomes easier.
Okay, thank you, Sushree. I think the next question is in the chat box, and I think Dr. Amit can take this question. This is from Sandeep Parkhi from Bahrain. As concerned to India as administrative part on government front, how to streamline the refugee population and make sure that they are separated from the citizens on paperwork. Also, it is nexus of locals leaders in Hyderabad, Kerala, Mumbai, Delhi, where local administration and politicians have initiated the process of legalizing their stay in India. Dr. Amit, can you take this question?
Okay, thank you for this particular question, because I've told you that India is unique. Our political system, political parties, yes, various issues, we are having a diverse society. So it is very difficult to channelize their movement. Most of the politicians, they have to think sincerely and diligently, and if they are having a love for India, then they will do not do politics or involve in politics with regard to the refugee. But the thing is that with regard to refugees, and specifically from a particular religious group or from a particular country, there are lots of politics has been played by the various people, and specifically the way you have articulated your question related to Kerala, Hyderabad, and the other. Yes, in some of these states, including in West Bengal, they are deliberately, on the other hand, inviting refugees from Bangladesh and from the various other countries just to channelize or fulfill their vested political interest. So this is very according to me, it is very difficult to channelize their activities, because इन सारे पॉलिटिशियंस को भारत के लिए सोचना पड़ेगा या भारत के लिए काम करना पड़ेगा और राजनीति से हट के काम करना पड़ेगा, तभी मुझे लगता है इस पे लगाम लगाई जा सकती है. अदरवाइज इट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू स्टॉप the politics over refugees. Yeah, that's it. Shakti.
Okay. Thank you, Amit ji. Next question is for Sushree. The question is from Harish Rawat ji. The question is, how does culture affect immigrant and refugee mental health?
It's needless to mention that we all are a cultural makeup. What has happened long back, today we are, as part of a product. We are, end of the day, the product of our culture. As you all know, the most famous psychoanalyst, Carl Jung, who talks about the collective unconscious, talks about our collective unconsciousness is the objective side. It is not the subjective experience. Our unconsciousness is a very objective side. And he refers to that idea, and the sentiment of the deepest unconscious mind is, he tells that it is genetically inherited and is not shaped by the personal experience. Hence, what we think that a person is just a product of his or her experiences right now, it is not so. A bigger part of it is genetically inherited, and we carry also the memories, the shared memories of our ancestors, the shared memories of our races we belong to. So that sense of belongingness and what we carry, that forms our collective unconscious, and we change to behave, and culture is a major part of it. As we go ahead and talk about how it affects the mental health, our mental health is affected when there is a gap between what is that we assume our life is, or we believe our life is, but in real that is not so. So there is a dissonance that is created. That is, we call it cognitive dissonance. That, hey, I think my life has to be like this, but when I look back, my reality is very, very different. So then the mental health starts deteriorating because we don't accept it. We don't accept that huge gap that exists between our psyche, our aspiration, and what is the reality. So there, the cultural aspect would affect the mental health if the culture is very supportive, if the culture also promotes change, if the culture promotes flexibility, if the culture allows expression of your emotions, not suppressing, if our culture talks about the shared experience, not an individual identity for that matter, rather, celebrating togetherness. Is our culture encouraging that we need to be grateful to what we are receiving from the host nation? Is our culture teaching us that we need to be accepting of what they are saying because it is their country? In the real sense, it belongs to them and we are here. So where is that tentativeness? If the culture is promoting of such flexibility, openness, gratitude, being humble, learning new things to get adjusted, if the culture promotes, and not to stick to what we have learned few hundred years before, that like life has to be only this way because I have learned it, not any other way, and if it is not so, then others are kafirs. That's a very difficult way to interpret life. And that's the way mental health gets seriously affected due to the culture. Because culture is, end of the day, is a way of life. It is not religion, it is not, anything else, but how you are living your life. So if the way I'm living my life is getting constrained, is getting limited due to my belief system and how I want to be, then naturally my mental health is going to be affected in a very reverse way, because I am not finding comfort. I will not be happy. I'll not feel that I need to learn in this society. It will start like, kind of a blame game. I will externalize my problem. I will not take responsibility for my actions. I would externalize it that, okay, due to the weather, due to the people here, due to the politicians here, due to I am a refugee. But what is the responsibility that I am taking? So culture plays a very, very crucial role in shaping how the person is going to behave, take responsibility, take initiative for their own living. And hence mental health, could be much more balanced.
Okay, thank you, Sushree. Yeah,
just a minute,
Yes,
if you allow me to add.
Yes, please go ahead, please.
Do you mean that the Islam creates a problem for Muslims? The culture of the Islam makes a Muslim not very much acceptable to the host countries? Is it the conclusion you can draw?
What, from my understanding, what comes up is, as a person, they believe in certain things that are quite rigid. The moment we bring rigidness to life, we don't grow. That's one. So many times they would like to stick to, their learning, their way of life. And yes, you may draw that conclusion that sometimes it's so rigid that that flexibility part is missing out. Hence, adjusting to a new host nation becomes difficult. It is very difficult for them to adjust because they only want to be that way, not the other way. The reality is they're in a different land, and this different land is different from how they have operated their lives in their own country. So changing themselves for a better future, do they want? I have to change my belief. If right now I'm in Bangalore or I'm in Bhubaneswar, or I'm in Delhi, or I go to Hyderabad. If I say, oh, I don't love South Indian food, and I still want to be settling down in Hyderabad or Bangalore, then who is going to suffer? The sufferer is I am myself, right? And my family. I'm going to be the loser. So we need to understand what is the larger point here. Is any belief, for that matter, larger than life? And if we are referring to a community, we cannot forget that India is not a community or a combination of multiple communities. India is a celebration of the only living civilization. And this is a Rashtra. So if somebody is coming and landing here, it is not about a set of beliefs and a particular culture they need to practice. They are welcome to practice it as long as they don't disrupt this living civilization. So there is no life, there is no belief, there is no particular community is larger than the nationhood called Bharatiyata. So this messaging has to go loud and clear.
Okay, thank you, Sushree. The next question is for Dr. Amit. This is from Aditya Panikar. The question is, I want to know about criminal activities of refugees, whether such criminal activities are cause or consequences of racism and xenophobia in host countries. Dr. Amit.
Okay, because there are various sort of activities, and in entire Europe, we have seen these people are involved in various criminal activities. My PhD is on Malaysia, and when I visited there in Malaysia, because Malaysia is an Islamic country, and there is a significant Bangladeshi population is also there. And despite their religious solidarity and proximity, most of the ethnic Malays consider these Bangladeshis as, they treat these people as criminals. Because if there are 10 cases are coming in Malaysia every day, so the records of Malaysia suggest in around 5 cases out of 10, only Bangladeshi immigrants are involved in various crimes. We have heard various protests at the London, Netherlands, Germany, during which they have run trucks and lorries and they have killed various people with the knives. So there are n number of cases in which refugees or these Muslim refugees are involved in criminal activities. I have given you an example of a refugee activist called Selin Gorin. They have raped this particular female despite she was advocating the refugees or the Muslim refugees of Syria. On the other hand, few other cases, they have killed, murdered and butchered and raped few other activists in Germany. And now these people are deliberately reciting or during the Rosa, Iftar, or during the namaz, they are they are doing all these things on busy roads deliberately. So there are some discontent is again rising in most of the European countries, in the America, and yes, here in India, there is a, earlier we have heard about Huji, Harkatul Jihad, and this particular group is based in Bangladesh. And most of the illegal Bangladeshis are involved in this particular group in terms of, yes, animal trafficking, drug trafficking, women trafficking, including illegal arms. Yes, Indian agencies has also noted the role of illegal Bangladeshis, and now Rohingya Muslims are involved in some of these crimes. So you just name it, each and every countries, those who are having significant illegal or refugee Muslim problem, they are facing this particular trends in their own society. Yes.
Okay,
that's it.
Thank you. Actually, we are running sort of time. So I'll take 2 more questions, 2 quick questions and quick answers. Maybe the question is for Sushree. Asked by Adya Sadas. She wants to know what is the importance of coordinating and integrating different community services for counseling refugees.
Sorry, what's the?
What is the importance of coordinating and integrating different community services for counseling refugees?
Yeah. So as we talk about, coordinating, people are there for, fulfilling their basic needs, like their food, their clothing, their health and hygiene, vaccination, immunization, medication, while people coordinate many such activities, and integrating counseling into it, as I understand from the question. Counseling is their mental health need. Anybody who doesn't belong to a particular place is landed here is a foreigner. Whatever word we want to call them, or invader or refugee or a ruler, whoever it is, the land is new. So as we talk about the refugees here and we talk about counseling, the importance of integrating it into the system, basically we are approaching a total wellness program then. We are approaching in a bigger holistic way. We are not only taking care of their basic necessities, because this is not a sustainable model. We need to enable them to live their life. So counseling is a process where a counselor helps the person to look at and reflect his own strengths, his own weaknesses, his resources, and what is it that he could bring to the table to survive in this land. We all know there is a survival of the fittest. Howsoever nice we are to each other, how nicely we talk each other, we have to compete to survive. So counseling as a process, it provides that mental support, the psychological strength, and enables the people that, hey, you could do something and you may not be in a position to do many other things. And deal to learn, accept the unacceptance part of their life. There are many things that they don't accept, they don't like, they are not accepted. So counseling, if it is integrated into the other services that is provided in the camp, they feel more secure, they open up. And if literally they also want to integrate in themselves to the mainstream, they want to follow the local language, local practices, a local way of life, they're open. We will know that. There is also a very interesting part of it, that through counseling we also understand their mental makeup, their orientation, what is their agenda, why they are not supportive, why they are not cooperative, why they are not taking the help, what is it that's going like such a big secret. So this is sometimes it's a red alert for us. What is the person is hiding? So through this, we not only enable the refugee community through counseling, we also try to know their intention, and which is communicated to the coordinators. Hey, we are not sure why this person is behaving like this. What is the other way around? And then sometimes they're delinquents, they get into other criminal activities, and that gets stopped there. So we are not adding more burdens to our society through this. We are checking it from the source itself.
Okay, thank you. I will put the last question to Dr. Amit. Before that, I'm really sorry. I feel sorry to tell that I cannot accommodate all questions. There are more than 25 questions in my inbox, as a direct message. But due to time constraint, I cannot accommodate all those questions. The last question is for Dr. Amit. This is from Gyanindra ji. Is there any solution? His question is there any solution to stop the refugee movement from these Muslim majority countries?
So according to me, in simple words, there is no solution, because for solution, we have to inculcate some sort of a progressive thinking among these people. And we have to restore normalcy and specifically democracy in most of the Islamic world. And this is a distant dream. And yes, we need a change of heart strategy in this regard. If we are going to change the heart and mentality of most of these people, then there is a possibility that we may stop the refugee problem. And yes, but this particular thing is a very, very distant dream. So according to me, in the coming future, there is no possibility. No possibility. We have to bear with this particular phenomena, and we have to prepare ourselves to fight or to tackle this particular phenomena, because they are here with a political agenda and they are going to change your own orientation just to fulfill their own wasted political and religious interests. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, so we have come to the flag end of our discussion. Thank you so much, Mrs. Sushree Mishra and Dr. Amit Singh, for enlightening us with all the nuances of this refugee universal challenge. Sushree highlighted the psychological journey of refugees, different aspects that really broadened our understanding about the issue. And Dr. Amit Singh took up the political aspects and how different related issues with this refugee problem. So with their talk, we really got a broad idea about refugee as a phenomena. So now I request Mr. Ajay Gajaria ji to offer a vote of thanks. Over to you, Ajay ji.
Namaskar. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can.
Yeah. विश्व जन केंद्र की तरफ से आप सभी का स्वागत भी है। और जैसे आज के विषय में सुश्री जी ने जो बताया, एक मानव एंगल, मानवीय एंगल, ह्यूमन एंगल and humanitarian ground से, we need to be helpful to each and everyone and to be all-inclusive society. At the same time, अमित सिंह जी ने जो बताया, आज की डेट में जो पॉलिटिकल करेक्टनेस एज वेल एज द सेफ्टी एंड सिक्योरिटी ऑफ द नेशन is too much important. So we have to keep all the aspect of the refugee in a balanced manner. And आज का जो प्रोग्राम शक्ति जी ने जो एक्सक्यूज मी शक्ति प्रसाद जी का भी हम आभारी है कि उन्होंने ये प्रोग्राम को एक अच्छी तरह से नई दिशा दी है, और सभी लोग जो पार्टिसिपेंट है सबका आभारी है विश्व केंद्र की तरफ से। आप सबका धन्यवाद, आभार। और आज की जो लेक्चर सीरीज के अंदर एक नया पॉइंट आके आया कि यस, भारत ने भी अपना एक रिफ्यूजी पॉलिसी के ऊपर भी सोचना चाहिए इन द लॉन्गर टर्म। इट इज ए ऑल इंक्लूसिवनेस, ह्यूमैनिटेरियन हेल्पफुलनेस, as well as to keep the interest of the nation. So all are thankful. We are very much thankful to all the participants as well as the speaker. Thank you very much.
ओके, थैंक यू सभी को। नमस्ते और धन्यवाद।
Thank you so much.
ज्ञानेंद्र जी कुछ कहेंगे?
Thank you everyone.
Okay, thank you.